So hello everyone out there on YouTube. This is Miss Looking Threes, and we're back here with Paladins. But instead of playing a game, because I actually still have a game that I have to work on, let's just do a little discussion because, well, I mean, me and Mr. Spyro always talk about the characters sometimes, and I recently saw some videos about how people were discussing cards and certain characters, and because obviously the new character is going to be coming out and he's also introducing something new, so that we talk about some characters. So just to try to make this one not particularly too long, we're just gonna maybe spend 20 minutes talking about maybe 4 characters. And the first character we're probably going to talk about is Grohk, because I feel like he's probably, out of all the characters in the game, I think he's in the worst spot right now. So what do you think, Mr. Spyro?
I mean, I thought it was alright. You just walk around and put totems near people.
So, we're gonna have his skills out here in right here in the screen, because I'm recording the in-game stuff. So, we have his primary attack, which is a lightning staff, which deals 75 damage every 0.1 seconds as long as you're able to keep your cursor over that person. However, you gotta know that it doesn't say the actual range, because they don't have a defined range like some other games do. They but like his range is not fairly long, but it's long enough where he can maybe skirt around people and still deal some damage. And obviously, because it's a beam, he doesn't have any drop off, because it cuts off after a certain point. Then his right click, 125 damage, slowing them for 30 seconds. Slowing them by 30% for 2 seconds. And Ghost Walk, become untargetable, and movement speed for 1.5. Also removes all debuffs, though, I mean, that doesn't usually mean much when you're totally untargetable. And his totem, which is probably his main ability, like the main thing in his whole kit, which deploys a totem with 900 health that heals nearby allies for 420 health every second and lasts for 6 seconds. Then finally we come to his ult, but actually we'll save his ult till last, because that's also probably one of the biggest problems in his kit. So, I mean, when you played him, Mr. Spyro, did you think he felt really strong? Did you think he felt really weak? Or...
I mean, I thought his lightning staff, like the main left click or whatever you call it, was fine. You know, it shoots a decent range, it does decent damage. You walk around and you drop totems. The ghost walk obviously saves you, that's pretty fine. I kind of don't like how you just got to max out Chronos straight away. Maybe you could do something with that, and his ultimate's a bit shit.
Oh, unfortunately, yeah, that is one of... Oh, no, the cooldowns are right here, never mind. So, at base, Grohk has a 15-second cooldown on his heal. Mr. Spyro.
Yes.
15 seconds. That is the longest cooldown out of any healer's cooldown. Probably the second highest would probably be Pip's without getting the cooldown cards for him. And I think that's still only like at 8, maybe 10 seconds. I mean, we could check, but I don't want to bother flipping back and forth. So, I mean, he has an extremely long cooldown for being a healer. I mean, I feel the other abilities are fairly fair. Are pretty fair with how long their cooldowns are. The Shock Pulse is 6, and it does decent damage because it can proc. It doesn't actually say here either, but I think at base it procs 5 times, because his legendary card adds 4 bounces, right? Yeah, it adds 4 bounces and it goes up to 9. So I think that's on a fair cooldown, 6 seconds, because I mean, if it's just one person, it does nothing. It's more just to help poke down groups of people. His Ghost Walk, which is obviously a really good ability because you have full control and obviously gain movement speed while being totally untargetable. So that's good. It has a 12. That actually has less of a cooldown than his heal does. So I mean, to you, Spyro, what do you? Again, not if you think it's the ult, don't say too much about the ult. But what do you think is his weakest point in his kit?
Well, I don't think his actual kit is weak. Like, the totem heals for a decent amount. The lightning staff...
It heals... It actually heals, I think, more than Ceres's does.
That's what I mean. The lightning staff deals a good amount of damage and it's got range. The only thing is the cooldown's too long. Like, I get that you're supposed to just mainline Chronos, but... then you're kind of exposed to the elements because you haven't got, like... Haven or blast shields, and you're just gonna get fucked in the butt. Like, I'm gonna need you to stick all these attacks way up your butt, Grohk.
I mean, he actually, to be fair, actually with lifesteal, he doesn't do that bad.
Yeah, but you can't get lifesteal because you got to.
You gotta rush for that level 3 Chronos. There's no playing around level 2 Chronos with Grohk, unfortunately.
That's what I mean. You could probably just like reduce the initial cooldown to say like I don't know. I don't know like how much would it affect, but just say like reduce it from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. That way you've only got to get level 2 Chronos.
How about if it gets destroyed, it gets the cooldowns reset to 10 seconds instead of 15. But I mean that also is kind of tricky because, you know, what if someone kills it like a second before it dies and you just get a free 5-second debuff, you know, or a buff. So I mean that's a little. That might make him a bit too strong. Honestly, I think if they just buff the health, because there's so much more AoE damage on it now that it just being able to last its full duration is actually nice. And mind you, what happens if they made the totem go on cooldown the second you placed it? Because remember, it doesn't go on cooldown until after it dies. For whatever reason. Because
like, if we compared it to like Overwatch, they did that with Winston where his barrier thing that looks a bit like Makoa's, the big round shield, that didn't go on cooldown until it ended, but like everybody complained that like that kind of screwed Winston, so they made Winston's barrier like cool down the second it was dropped.
And mind you, I mean, it can die within like 2 seconds if you have enough people beating on it, and that's the same thing with the totem. So I mean, you're not really gaining anything. Like, you're not gaining that. Your cooldowns don't effectively go down by 6 seconds just because, you know, it happens to stay out that long. Because there's a good chance it's not going to stay out that long.
Yeah.
So I mean, because that's a big part of his kit. Again, nothing wrong with Ghost Walk. Nothing wrong with Shock Pulse. I mean, well, there was the issue with the legendary. We'll get to the legendary cards because that's also another big component to talk about. But just to try and get through Grohk really quick. So then we come to his ultimate. And actually, when the time recording this video, they are testing a buff on his ultimate where he heals himself during his ultimate. So he's still vulnerable, but he has some kind of protection for himself, so he's not just helpless. While either trying to heal his allies and damage his enemies. So because his ult lasts for 3 seconds, it slows and damages up to 2 nearby enemies, just 2, and I think it takes range into account, not health. So whoever's closer to you is gonna get hit. And deals 200 damage at a time. Yeah, he has a small speed buff. I don't think it really doesn't do that much unless you're trying to stick to someone really hard. I think it's the same as his Ghost Walk. I think it's 20. And he heals up to 2 nearby allies for actual decent amount of health. He can heal you for 500 every half a second. That's really good. But
yes.
I understand. I think originally he was able to hit everyone in his thing, but that means he was just a giant, he was just a damage monster too when he had that much Like he could just maybe sneak up behind the enemy team and just like shit on everyone. Then everyone will have to turn to him. So then that means their eyes are off the flankers, off the tanks, trying to pummel them. So I'm glad they.
I think aside from being too weak when he's doing his ultimate, he's fine. I think aside from being too weak during his ultimate, he's fine.
Well, they are trying, like I said, they are trying his buff where I think he can heal himself the same amount that he can heal his allies. So maybe that'll be a good buff for him. Maybe he'll. You see, but that kind of pushes him towards being a more kind of aggressive-y. So
not really.
Because he has a lot more. He'll have a good bit more sustain that way, and it does actually do some decent damage. Mind you, it only hits 2 people, so it's not like you can't take out the whole team. But I mean, 2 people is usually enough if you want to be really aggressive. But we'll have to see how that goes, and we have to again try to speed up because if I want to at least get to 3 people. So then we're gonna go to his cards real quick, and we're not gonna talk about every single card because that'll take way too long, and there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to there's filler cards for every character that everyone has, like reload, etc., and then some cards are obviously better than others, but those will be tweaked over time. I think most people's cards are not ridiculous with their cooldowns anymore or anything like that. The main thing is the legendary cards. His race armor can be extremely annoying, but isn't particularly broken. It does have a 30-second cooldown, so you can maybe chain it like once, and then you're gonna have to wait and hopefully not die after a big fight. His CC totem is really good, which is honestly his best card. I always felt like it was his best card. Before the nerf, Maelstrom was obviously his best card because it did way too much damage. But unfortunately with the nerf, it's just like not very viable anymore. I mean, he can still deal damage with it. It still does good damage, and with the right build, your right click can be off cooldown basically every other second or two. But I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that he's still pretty squishy and takes a long time to heal himself, let alone his allies. So I mean, I feel his cards are okay. They unfortunately had to nerf his damage again because it was just too crazy. So moving on from Grohk, because oh my god, that took a long time. We're gonna go to. Oops, I exited out too far. We're gonna probably go to Ashe real quick because Ashe should be really quick. Again, her skills. She's not particularly struggling. She's a new champion. She's actually doing very well. The thing I wanted to talk about, again, not so much her abilities. The only thing I really want to talk about probably is her cards. Some people have issues with how good her cooldowns can really be. If she, builds the right cooldown set. But again, we don't want to go into every card, like the actual loadout cards too much. I wanted to get to her legendaries. Because again, the legendaries define how you play. Like they are supposed to define how you play. And right now, unfortunately, Ashe's only viable card is Shoulder Bash.
Battering Ram.
Her Shoulder Bash legendary is Battering Ram. I mean, well, how so I know you don't have the other cards, but
no, you can still see them.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I've got
just by looking at them, because believe me, I mean, I've tried the Rally here. I've seen someone try to use the Fortress Breaker too. I've tried Rally here, and I haven't found. I've lost every game I've tried to use Rally here. I cannot make it work.
Shield moves 80% slower and has 300 more health. Assure dominance now stuns affected enemies for 2 seconds on impact and grants allies within 100 feet 20% increased damage for 3 seconds. That's it?
Yep. Actually, I thought it was damage reduction. Like, that's actually a lot sheerer than I thought it was. Actually, wait, did they change that? I thought it was she got 80%. I thought it was before she got 80% damage reduction, and then the allies got the 20%. Did they change it?
I guess so.
I don't think they did. Maybe I just read it wrong. Um, but either in any case, you like why would you choose rally here? Rally here is, oh, I want my allies to, be in my field and increase damage and increase their damage. Oh, that's good. They get more damage. Yay. But it's on your ultimate. And your ultimate is an extremely defensive ultimate. It's not really defensive. So when you activate your ult, you're usually, well, about half the time you're gonna be the only one alive probably, and you're usually gonna be on low health, meaning you probably want people to, you're probably just holding the line. You're probably gonna die right after. You're not really just setting up for your team. You're just trying to hold the point. So I mean the stun is nice. Like, okay, cool, it has a stun now. But again, it's not meant to be aggressive. It's purely defensive. So it's not like you're gonna trap people in your ult. And then as far as the shield card is concerned, her shield's garbage. Like, just to come out right out and say her shield's garbage. I mean, you can give it as much health as you want, but just for the design of the shield, she basically just walks back and forth in it, and is used to basically fight off other tanks. It really doesn't do much against other damage dealers, because I mean, if you're really hiding effectively behind your shield, they're either going to ignore you and go do something else, or you're going to have to charge at them anyways, and your shield sure as hell is not going to keep up. So why would it moving slower and giving it more health really do much of anything? Because most people can just ignore it with the size it is. Other than tanks. So what do you think, Mr. Spy? Would you ever think of trying to use these other legendaries? I know you don't have them, but just by looking at them, do you think...
No, because I just looked at her cards, and I mean, I don't like Ashe as it is. And just by looking at her cards, I am just creating a setup now, and I've just seen how fucking broken she can be.
Yeah, I don't want to go into all the builds. We will agree she's a little broken on her cooldowns. Her cooldowns are a bit ridiculous.
I'm just gonna create a setup here, right? I could get that to 4. I could get that to 4 fucking seconds. Holy shit. And then if I were to gain, reduce cooldown, and then save this build. So I'm got the charge legendary, right? And then I've just made a charge loadout. Heal for 600 health while using the shoulder bash. And reduce the cooldown of shoulder bash. So that means that and both of these are level 4, I've plussed it to 4. Reduce cooldown of shoulder bash by 4 seconds. So that means that every 3 seconds you can get 600 health back and be CC immune, and increase the knockback of the shoulder bash.
Well,
that's ridiculous.
Well, every 11 seconds. Her shoulder bash is a 15-second cooldown. If you take off 4, that's 11.
No wonder she's a pain in the ass to kill. And she gains 16% damage reduction after using shoulder bash as well. So, if you use the shoulder bash legendary with all of her shoulder bash tiny cards, you're no wonder she's a pain in the ass to kill.
Yeah, because you do... Well, the main thing is this... Honestly, to me, the main thing is the CC immunity, because you can dodge ults, you can...
Yeah, but I'm just saying, think about this, though. You can dodge ults, you're CC immune, and you can get 600 HP back every time you use it, and you can reduce the cooldown of it, and you can increase how far you knock someone back.
Well, yeah. Well, a load of people really like, though, is her right-click build, because her right-click's on a much lower cooldown and can hit multiple enemies. It just doesn't deal nearly as much damage as her actual shoulder bash. And...
No, I'm saying, if you combine those little cards with shoulder bash, I can see why a lot of people have trouble killing her. Like,
Yeah, but I'm
why
talking
is it
about the
pain?
legendary cards. Would you ever think about using her other legendary cards?
Well, no, not because of like how good Shoulder Bash works with all those little cards.
But I mean, but just if you look at them, do any of them offer anything that might be enticing? Because the other thing I was gonna go into Ash, after you say yes or no, was that Jin not Jin, is his name Jin? I can't remember. The new character is introducing something.
Sephiroth.
The new character is introducing something. But look at the cards right now. Do they look like, ignoring the rest of the cards, just looking how you might want to play? Ignoring the normal cards, just looking at the legendaries, are any of them really that enticing?
Well, Fortress Breaker is not. Because, like, if I want a good shield, I'd want, like, a Reinhardt shield, like Fernando, stationary, unmoving. The little shit that rolls along on the floor, it might roll out of position, so Fortress Breaker is just a waste. And I understand the advantage of Rally here. Like, oh, get all your team together, jump on the point, and your team can screw people over. But it's like forcing them to group up, because most people want to do their own thing, and no matter how many times you spam group up, most people aren't going to group up for the rally to actually be successful, so it's kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, well, to me, I explained because also too, you're never gonna use it aggressively. You're gonna be using it when you're dying. So why would your team go in with you when you're dying already in the first place?
Well, I mean, that's what I say. You could, well, I mean, like, here's the perfect scenario. You could die, and a second person could die, and you could say, my ultimate is ready, wait for the team to die, like, literally, just let everybody die on purpose, and then we're all at full health, and all 5 of us will run in, I'll use Rally, and we'll kick their ass. But a lot of people won't listen to that plan.
Well, because it's dangerous. You're. What if they have a Ceres on their team?
Yeah, that's what.
They.
Yeah, I get that, but that's like the perfect dream scenario, that you get it, die, and then you let your rest of your team die, and you all charge in together for that 20% increased damage to screw them over.
Well,
but the dream scenario is never going to happen, so again, that card's kind of pointless.
So, but the other thing was, the other thing you gotta understand too is you're sacrificing the other legendary card effects. So if you choose this one, you're not gonna have the other ones. I mean, again, no one cares about the fucking shield one. The shield one's garbage. But if you're this means you're sacrificing the battering ram card. That means you're sacrificing your only CC immunity remember, in your ult, you're not CC immune. You can get knocked around when you're jumping in your ult. You can still die when you're jumping in your ult. Obviously you can get pulled out of your ult by a Makoa, or booped away by an enemy Ashe, or Torvald ult, etc, etc. So you don't have any other form of anti-CC. And on top of that, you're also, yes, it's only for 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds, but you also do have a bit of damage reduction. A lot of damage reduction on that battering ram, which is like a great counter for when for willow bombs, for for Drogo's salvos. Like it basically cancels out that one ability for, I mean, maybe you don't want to necessarily sacrifice your shoulder bash for that, but I mean, if you had to, you can, or if it's advantageous either way, you might as well. So you're just losing so much just to get a stun and some damage boost for your team. Like, and even then, a very situational damage boost for your team. But I mean, she is a good character, right, Mr. Spyro? You say that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's called a good, but she is certainly a pain in the ass to kill.
Yeah. So I mean,
and maybe upgrade her damage just like a tiny bit.
Mm.
Like, what's the damage right now?
400 if she hits you in the face.
Alright, what if she just hits you casually?
Like, just like barely on the edge?
No, just like a body shot.
Well,
like
no, she can do headshots, but I mean, if she hits you like dead on, she gets 400.
I'd say like maybe take that up to 500 because her gun doesn't feel like it has much impact. Like you can see a little bit of health go off them, but that shit gets you back
Well,
instantly.
if they
Like
have a
maybe
healer
if
on them, yeah, but she isn't meant to fight people who have a healer on them. She's like, oh, okay, I can either apply anti heals to the tanks using my AOE's, or if I want to be more aggressive, which people are usually a bit more aggressive with her, I go for like the Kinessa in the back because my shots go high up enough to usually reach her and have decent size to at least chunk her down, so she'll be forced to back off, or to chase a Willow down because she can easily kill a Willow if she has her way. But yeah, to me, she's a good character. So just to keep this episode from getting too long, I'm gonna have to end it here. Any final thoughts on Grohk or Ash, Mr. Sporo?
no, they're fairly alright.
Okay, so in the next one, we'll be maybe, hopefully, talking about the Sky and Cassie, because Sky is in an awkward spot. Cassie's in an awkward spot. I don't want to say either one of them is bad, but we'll have to talk about that in the next one. So, bye-bye for now.
Wait a minute, now hold on.
No hold ons. YouTube has to
Cass-
say bye-bye. So bye-bye, YouTubes.
Goodbye.